days, guys, and welcome to Safra Mount Favor Facebook page. And today we are at lesson 2 of our roller skate tutorial. So last lesson we learned how to stand up, sit down, fall, as well as V-march. So today we're gonna learn how to do a little bit more of advanced movements, such as gliding, and this open close, which has different names, called bubble and lemon. Okay, so we shall start. So those of you who are still struggling with your V-march, make sure you lean forward, because there are a lot of times when people are, so this is the correct posture when you skate. So you're leaning slightly forward, but a lot of people, because they're afraid, they tend to do this. So you see, this is not forward, your back side is way to the back, so actually you're leaning backwards, which is why you cannot move forward. So those of you who are still struggling with moving, make sure you lean forward and actually you will just move straight away. Okay, so today's lesson will be on gliding. So we will start out with a little bit of a warm-up. So warm up with 10 V-march, 10 V-march. After your V-march, 5 falling, 1, 2, so 5 times, okay? So after this, we will proceed. So we will proceed with actually 2 rounds of skating, so maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, just up and down, okay? So 2 full rounds, and then after that, once you could move, remember your closing of your feet. If you move forward, lift up your knees and close it into the center. So once you could do this, today's lesson is basically 4V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, and touch your toes. So the reason why we are doing this 11 and touch your toes is because this will in turn helps you learn how to glide and then how to move faster and control your speed. So all you need to do is 4V. If you feel that you're not moving fast enough, do 6Vs instead. So same thing, V. Those of you who still feel you're not moving fast enough, it's probably because your knees are not lifting up as high as you could be lifting. If you're doing this, you go really slow, so make sure you lift high. 1, 2, 3, 11. And when you do an 11, hang on. So when you do an 11, there are some students that I have, they are really worried about knocking their own feet. So their 11 stance kind of look like this. But when you do it this way, as you can see, your body will be forced to choose left or right leg. So it's hard to balance, that's one. Second, instead of maintaining the speed to glide, you will actually slow down in this stance. So therefore, when you do an 11 glide, so after you do 1, 2, 3, 4, lift up your feet into an 11. Your 11 should look something like that. Not too big and not too small. So 11, so once you roll, touch your toes. Okay, so the reason why we are touching your toes is because as you bend down, you will actually roll a little bit faster, that's one. Second, it helps you overcome your fear of falling again. So if you realize, those of you realize, inline and quads, the main difference, right, it's not really on the standing or skating, but the main difference is on the brakes. So on inline, you usually have a brake on the right side. On your right side, back of your skates. But on the quads, usually you have a brake at the front of your skates. Mine don't have it because I kind of customize them, but usually you have a brake over here. So for quad skates, right, it's usually really hard to stop because you can't stop this way, right? So that's why it's even more important for quad skater to learn how to fall properly. Okay, so that's touch your toes, gliding and touch your toes. And then next one that we're going to cover today is bubble. It's a very, it looks interesting, and this move actually helps you to learn how to develop, how to control your individual feet and then develop your muscles over here, which you don't really get to develop when you walk. So bubbles, it looks something like that. So I'm gonna do it this way. Hang on. So it looks something like that. So I call it open, close because it's easier to grasp the concept. So open and close, open and close. Okay, so it looks like that, open, close, open, close. Okay, so with this, the reason why we are doing bubble, with this, you could learn many things, inclusive on how to skate backwards, okay, and then you could go on to your advanced moves like crisscross, yeah, and more, or even individual leg, like this, something like that, okay? So, how do you do a bubble? So it's very simple. Remember your first stance when you skate, it's a V shape. So all you need to do is go from a V to an A, back to a V, back to an A. And how do you do that? Just imagine that your toes are pointing, like their fingers pointing outside, and then point them together, point them outside, point them together. So that's why I call it open, close as well. So at the start, it's really hard for beginners to have the strength to control your feet. So it's usually easier if you start off with a little bit of skating. So 4 or 6 Vs. I'm gonna start from there. Start from here. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then with the speed, it will be easier. Point outside, inside, outside, inside. If you're afraid of falling, some of you might feel like it's going too fast for you to control. Hands on your knees. And make sure, same thing, your feet is not supposed to open so wide. The reason why I'm doing it so wide is so that you could see the movements clearly, but as you do it, make sure your feet is around your shoulder width. So only till here, that's enough. And you should actually be concentrating on the closing instead of the opening. So not the opening, but the closing. So close. So the faster you close, the easier it will get. So the faster you actually close, the easier you will get. And after you practice your open close, usually passing mark is 5 consecutive bubble. Okay, after you do that, you could actually use cones or shoes to place the cones. Okay, so it's something like that. I'm not sure if you guys could see it. So you could start off slow, aim the center of each cone. So you start off with a little bit of skating. So 1, 2, 3, 4, after a bit of skating, open, aim the center of each cone. Close, 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 close. Okay? And that's all for today's lesson, and see you guys next session.